When I think about Tupac's discography, Strictly for My Ends is the one album I consider his weakest, mainly because it struggles both sonically and thematically. Pac has always been an artist who could juggle different sides of himself. The revolutionary, the poet, the outlaw, the ladies' man. But on this project, those different sides clash more than they blend. The album feels pulled in too many directions, which leaves it sounding confused and inconsistent. One moment he's preaching empowerment and respect for women, the next he's glorifying behavior that directly contradicts that message. He'll call for unity in the black community, then boast about actions that undermine the very progress he claims to fight for. Instead of coming off as layered, it feels scattered, like he was still figuring out how to fuse all these parts of himself into one cohesive voice. This lack of focus makes the project hard to connect with as a whole. Tupac's passion is never in question. You can always hear how deeply he feels about the issues he's rapping about, but passion without direction can sometimes work against him. There are times when he's shouting at the listener rather than pulling them into the story, which makes his messages feel more repetitive than impactful. The contradictions throughout the album also weaken its core. It's not that Pac wasn't allowed to be complicated, his contradictions are part of what made him human, but here, they feel unintentional, almost as if he didn't yet know how to reconcile all the sides of his identity through music. Compared to his later projects, where he found ways to balance his revolutionary fire with his personal vulnerability and his commercial appeal, Strictly for My Ends feels unfinished. It has moments of brilliance, but as a whole, it comes off more like a collection of scattered thoughts than a fully realized statement. That's why, out of all of Tupac's albums, this one stands as his weakest. It isn't that Pac lacked talent or drive. Those qualities are everywhere here, but the contradictions, mixed messaging, and lack of focus keep it from reaching the heights that the rest of his catalog would go on to achieve. Tupac kicks off the album with an explosive opener. The instrumental knocks hard, carrying that raw funk energy that was common in early 90s hip-hop, and it immediately sets a rebellious tone. What holds this track back for me is Tupac's delivery. His hyped, almost shouted flow is impressive in stamina, but it can feel overdone across the entire song. While it's not a bad stylistic choice, the non-stop yelling starts to lose impact after repeated listens. Still, there's no denying the power in his words. Pac uses this track to introduce himself once again as a rebel, someone unafraid to stand up for what's right, even if that means resorting to violence. The title itself is fitting because Pac spends the whole track hollering at the listener, demanding attention and engagement with his message. It works in terms of energy and intention, but the delivery keeps it from being perfect.
I was raised in this society, so there's no way you can expect me to be a perfect person. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
This interlude is an interesting artistic choice, blending two interviews played simultaneously. One features Tupac speaking about his life and perspective, while the other is of a man attempting to ban rap music. The staticky recording effect adds an oddly fitting texture, giving the piece a raw, almost chaotic feel. In his segment, Pac explains that he's simply reflecting the realities of his community through his music, highlighting that his lyrics are a mirror of what he sees and experiences, rather than a glorification of violence or chaos. It's a short but effective moment that reinforces one of the album's central ideas, that its art is rooted in real-life struggles and social commentary.
I was raised in this society, so there's no way you can expect me to be a perfect person, but I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I got lynched by some fucking cops, and to this day, them same motherfuckers on the beat getting made to pay.
On this track, Tupac addresses the people who judge and criticize him, referring to them as pointing their fingers. Much of the focus is on jealousy within his own community, with Pac framing these critics as envious of his success and influence. His response is that he's simply carrying out his mission, to inform and uplift his community while exposing government corruption. While the concept is solid, the execution falls short. His performance here is just okay, and his flow starts to feel repetitive based off his performances in general up to this point, making the subject matter less engaging than it could be. The instrumental doesn't add much to elevate the track either, which makes Point the Finga one of the weaker entries on the album, and a skip for me.
And every day I read the paper, there's another lie. They show my picture for the crimes of another.
It ain't that I'm changed, but it's strange how you
This interlude expands on themes from Point the Finga, diving into a very specific and tragic real-life incident. After achieving success with his previous album and his role in Juice, 2pac returned to his old neighborhood in Marin City to show love to his community. Unfortunately, an encounter with a group of men escalated into a violent altercation, resulting in gunfire that tragically killed a 6-year-old boy. Pac expresses deep remorse over the incident, highlighting his frustration with the jealousy and hostility that can exist within his community, feelings that indirectly contributed to this tragedy. The message of the interlude is powerful. If you don't have anything to live for, have something to die for instead. In other words, focus on purpose in your life rather than letting the negativity of others dictate your actions. It's a short but impactful moment that shows Pac reflecting on the consequences of his environment and the weight of his own influence. The instrumental on this track is incredible, booming, hype, and immersive, with well-placed samples that elevate the energy. Before each artist delivers their verse, samples from their previous songs play, adding a clever nod to their legacies. Ice Cube and Ice-T bring exceptional performances, matching the track's intensity with dynamic hype flows. 2pac keeps pace, delivering the same high-energy performance, making the track feel cohesive and powerful. Conceptually, the song is compelling. Each artist shares their last words before death, expressing pride in who they are and their commitment to staying true to themselves. 2pac continues to inspire his audience to stand up against oppression, even suggesting that resistance may require force. The combination of skilled performances and an addictive instrumental makes this one of the standout tracks on the album.
Can't make a black light, don't take a black light to soul. The next real nigga won't dance. I pack a 9mm cause I got a living hotter than the 4th of July. If I gotta die, gotta.
This track stands out for 2pac's creativity, particularly in his use of vocal effects. He layers a deeper altered voice with his natural tone, switching between multiple flows that keep the delivery dynamic and engaging. Lyrically, Pac expresses intense anger toward police brutality and systemic mistreatment of black communities. He highlights the lack of consequences for those in power and frames resistance as a necessary response, advocating for fighting fire with fire to achieve justice and peace in his neighborhood. The production complements his vocals perfectly, with a hard-hitting instrumental that matches the track's aggressive energy. This combination of inventive delivery, powerful lyrics, and strong production makes Souljah's Revenge one of the album's more compelling tracks.
All you punk police will never fall peace on the streets till the niggas get a piece. Goody goody, gun drops, nigga, get your hoodie and your gun cock, rockin' to the drum stop, hip hop.
This track is fairly average in my opinion. The instrumental doesn't stand out, and the performances from 2pac and Deadly Threat feel uninspired. Lyrically, they focus on toughness and dominance, emphasizing that they won't tolerate disrespect and have the ability to eliminate their competition. While the concept fits the street-oriented themes of the album, the execution is lackluster, and neither the flow nor the production brings anything particularly memorable to the table. Overall, it's a mediocre track that doesn't give me much reason to revisit it.
Down with Oaktown, what's up, homie? Can I chill? The pics is looking for me. Feel Matty. Strugglin, got it for the black man. You scam like I was motherfucking back man. Got step on, you know.
This track is a low point on the album. The performances from Stretch and Majesty are nearly unbearable. Their delivery feels forced, as if they're trying too hard to sound intimidating, and much of what they say is almost indecipherable. It's hard to tell whether they're glorifying or lamenting struggle, which makes the track confusing and absurd. 2pac's performance is slightly better, as his lyrics are understandable, but the content is problematic. He raps about resorting to criminal methods, like robbing others, to survive. This directly contradicts his earlier messages about uplifting the community, since these actions harm the very people he claims to care about. The instrumental doesn't help either, feeling repetitive and uninspired, which makes listening to this track a chore. Overall, Strugglin fails on multiple levels: performance, lyrical coherence, and production, making it one of the worst moments on the album.
I'm blind, dipping on the 9, I'm the get mine. I go pick up, gotta make a room. Drop the drums, here it comes, only got 2 minutes to bounce, and every second counts, better press back on your deck.
This track delivers another fairly mediocre performance from 2pac. The beat is okay, but it becomes grating after repeated listens. Similar to Point the Finga, 2pac's style starts to feel tiresome on this album, with his signature aggressive delivery not working as well across multiple tracks. The subject matter is monotonous. He alternates between revolutionary themes and threats toward his enemies, and on this track, it's the latter. Much of what he says has been stated elsewhere, leaving the song feeling repetitive and unoriginal. Overall, Guess Who's Back doesn't add anything new to the album and comes off as a skip.
My cakes on tapes and make next place the bass to the tape with the baddest bass. Roll up and get swole up, hold up.
2pac's flow on this track is all over the place, jumping from hype to extremely hype in a way that disrupts the listening experience. This inconsistency is unfortunate because the instrumental itself is strong, a smooth, catchy vibe with well-utilized samples. The lyrics, however, feel scattered. Pac moves from rapping about his rise, to giving shoutouts to random rappers, to experimenting with his deep voice effect, none of which flow naturally together. The disjointed performance makes the track hard to enjoy, and despite the solid production, Representin 93 ends up being a difficult skip.
I'm a soldier, daddy was a soldier, strong in the struggle, must get slow.
Some say the blacker the better, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh, then the deeper the root.
This is one of the most heartfelt and well-executed tracks on the album. 2pac delivers a motivational message to single mothers who have been abandoned by the fathers of their children, encouraging men to do better, and highlighting the struggles these women face raising children alone. He also touches on the serious issue of sexual assault against women, bringing a socially conscious layer to the track. His delivery is passionate and engaging, allowing the emotion behind his message to come through clearly. That said, there are a few lyrical moments that stand out as questionable. In the first verse, Pac says it makes him unhappy when men create babies and leave women to raise them on their own, then later claims men can't create babies, which is biologically inaccurate. It's possible he's referencing men who impregnate women against their will, but the phrasing comes off contradictory. He also says, "We all came from a woman," seemingly ignoring the role of men, which feels exaggerated in the context of the song. Despite these minor issues, the instrumental, sampling Zapp's Be Alright, is heavenly, and Dave Hollister singing on the hook adds an additional layer of brilliance. Overall, Keep Your Head Up remains a standout track, both emotionally and musically on the album. On this track, 2pac explores an interesting concept, the downsides of fame and wealth. While he's financially successful, Pac shows that it brings jealousy, resentment, and additional problems from people who wish him harm. Despite these challenges, he remains committed to staying true to himself and giving respect to the real friends who have consistently supported him. The slow, menacing instrumental perfectly complements the tone of the track, and 2pac's flow matches this vibe, delivering a confident and measured performance. It's a solid entry on the album that balances introspection with street savvy bravado.
Growing up as an inner city brother, where every other had a pops and a mother, I was the product of a heated lover.
On this track, 2pac reflects on his difficult upbringing and how growing up poor shaped him into the person he became. He raps about the constant need to stay alert in a world filled with jealous rivals and corrupt police officers. While the theme of struggle and survival is one Pac revisits frequently in his music, his performance on this track stands out. Unlike other songs where his flow can feel repetitive, here it's engaging and dynamic, complementing the story he's telling. The instrumental is another highlight, featuring a catchy, hard-hitting production that pairs perfectly with his delivery. Overall, the Streetz R Deathrow successfully balances familiar themes with a compelling performance, making it a strong entry on the album.
I've been pouring my life, but don't know quite why. So they label me a lunatic. Back to get wrecked. All respect to those who break their neck to keep their hopes in check.
This track is a fun, high-energy party anthem that showcases 2pac's lighter, more playful side. The song is dedicated to women, with Pac boasting about his ability to attract multiple partners and his refusal to commit to one relationship. While it's clearly meant to entertain, the content creates an interesting thematic tension with Keep Your Head Up, where he advocates for men to be responsible and supportive toward women. On I Get Around, he celebrates casual relationships and even brags about pursuing women who are already involved with others, which could be seen as contradicting his socially conscious messaging. Sonically, the track succeeds tremendously. The production perfectly captures a party vibe with bouncy, upbeat instrumentation that makes it nearly impossible not to move along. 2pac's delivery matches this energy with playful, confident flows that add to the track's infectious feel. Shock G and Money B of Digital Underground contribute excellent verses, bringing additional charisma and fun energy, which complements 2pac's braggadocious style. The interplay between the three artists keeps the track dynamic and engaging throughout. Overall, I Get Around is one of the album's most sonically enjoyable moments, balancing catchy production, strong performances, and memorable energy.
I get around. What you mean you don't know? Had to play catch by myself. What a sorry sight. A pitiful plight. So I pray for a starry night.
This track tackles a deeply personal and relatable theme. Tupac's complicated relationship with his father. Pac reflects on the absence of his father during his formative years, which forced him to grow up quickly and take on responsibilities to support his mother. When his father eventually attempts to re-enter his life, it's too late. Pac has already endured significant hardships and feels that his father can't offer him anything meaningful. This emotional tension forms the core of the song, making the concept strong and compelling. Wycked contributes a verse that expands on the theme, describing his own experiences of parental abandonment and the lack of love from his mother. While his performance is solid, it doesn't quite reach the emotional depth that the subject matter demands. Pac himself uses his signature deep voice effect on the final verse to rap from his father's perspective, reciting the excuses his father gave for being absent. While creative, this vocal experiment can feel somewhat distracting and doesn't fully enhance the emotional impact. The production is serviceable, with a beat that fits the reflective tone, but doesn't stand out as particularly memorable. Overall, while the concept of Papa's song is meaningful and relatable, the performances and production fall short of the potential the subject matter offers, making it a decent but ultimately forgettable track on the album.
Baby, it's my fault for being a father living fast, but living slow me at the door and don't you
Funky like skunk, stunk like funk cunt. I come to take you on a raw, rough and rugged route.
The album closes with a posse track featuring 5 rappers, collectively calling themselves the 5 Deadly Venomz. Tupac, Tretch from Naughty by Nature, Majesty, Stretch, and Apache. The concept is classic. Each artist delivers a verse, asserting their skill and dominance in the rap game. Among the group, Tupac and Tretch stand out with compelling energetic flows that carry the track, while Apache delivers a solid, if unremarkable, verse. Stretch and Majesty, however, fall into the same pitfalls as they did on Strugglin, offering performances that feel forced and less engaging. The instrumental is one of the track's stronger elements, providing a catchy, hard-hitting backdrop that suits the posse dynamic. Overall, the song is a mix of highs and lows. Standout verses from Tupac and Tretch are balanced against weaker contributions from the other rappers. While the track succeeds in creating a collaborative, energetic vibe, it ultimately feels uneven and forgettable, making it a decent but not essential closing moment for the album.
Now it's on, every day could be my last day. That's why I blast on their ass since I pass, let the glass spray.
Overall, Strictly For My Ends is an album full of contrasts. While there are undeniable highlights, tracks like Keep Your Head Up, Souljah's Revenge, and Last Wordz showcase Tupac's creativity and passion, the album also struggles with inconsistency. Several tracks feature repetitive flows, uneven performances, or contradictory messaging that can make the listening experience feel disjointed. Themes of social consciousness, street survival, and personal reflection are often overshadowed by braggadocio or party anthems, leaving the album without a clear focus. Despite its standout moments, the uneven execution and mixed thematic messages prevent the album from fully realizing its potential, making it one of Tupac's more flawed projects, yet still an interesting glimpse into his artistic evolution.